Tyler Brooks had just stepped outside to grab his third coffee of the morning when the sun disappeared. He looked up, squinting past the rim of his styrofoam cup, and saw a massive alien spacecraft hovering over Millbrook's town square like someone had parked a floating city above the hardware store. The ship was all sharp angles and pulsing lights, humming with a sound that made his teeth itch. "Well," Tyler said to nobody in particular, "that's different." He was a janitor at Millbrook High School, 28 years old, perpetually behind on laundry, and absolutely not qualified for first contact. But as the ship's landing gear deployed with a hiss of hydraulics and steam, Tyler found himself standing directly in its shadow, still holding his coffee. A ramp extended from the ship's belly. Four towering figures emerged, each at least 8 feet tall, covered in segmented armor that gleamed like oil slicks. They moved with military precision, weapons mounted on their forearms, helmets reflecting the morning light in a way that made them look faceless and terrifying. The lead alien raised one armored limb. A translation device crackled to life. "Surrender, primitive life form." Tyler took a sip of his coffee. It was still hot, which he appreciated. He looked at the alien, then at the ship, then back at the alien. "Primitive." Tyler scratched his chin. "Buddy, I've got high-speed internet, 4 streaming subscriptions, and a phone that recognizes my face. You sure you downloaded the right coordinates?" The aliens exchanged glances, or at least Tyler assumed they did. Hard to tell with the helmets. "You will comply or face vaporization," the lead alien announced. Tyler crossed his arms, careful not to spill his drink. "Vaporization? Get in line behind my landlord. He's been threatening me with eviction for 3 months." The translation device made a weird grinding noise. One of the aliens in the back tapped his helmet like he was trying to fix a broken radio. "Why does this one not exhibit fear?" another alien asked. Tyler grinned. He spotted a megaphone hanging on the fence post near the football field, left over from last weekend's Booster Club fundraiser. He walked over, grabbed it, and flipped the switch. "Attention, Millbrook," Tyler's voice boomed across the square. "We have visitors from space. Please form an orderly line for autographs and photo opportunities." Within 5 minutes, half the town had emerged from shops and homes. Kids on bikes skidded to a stop. Elderly couples shuffled over with lawn chairs. Teenagers appeared with phones already recording. Someone from the bakery brought a tray of donuts. "Would your species like a pastry?" Mrs. Henderson from the library asked one of the aliens, holding up a chocolate glazed. The alien stared at the donut like it might explode. "They're fresh," Mrs. Henderson insisted. The commander, whose nameplate read something unpronounceable that sounded like Commander Grell, tried again. He raised his weapon. "Cease this madness immediately. You will obey our commands." Tyler pointed to a food truck that had just pulled up, drawn by the commotion. "You guys want tacos first, or are we doing the whole domination thing on an empty stomach? Frank makes a killer carnitas." The translation device sparked. Actual sparks, like electricity, was shorting out inside the alien's helmet. "Excessive sarcasm detected," one of them said. "Illogical humor patterns interfering with neural processing." "Oh, you ain't seen nothing yet," Tyler said cheerfully. A kid handed one of the aliens a hot dog. Another teenager asked for a selfie and didn't wait for an answer before throwing an arm around the alien's waist and snapping 3 pictures. Commander Grell backed up half a step. His troops looked at each other with what Tyler could only describe as confusion bordering on panic. "This is not in the invasion manual," Grell said, his voice rising slightly. Tyler turned to the growing crowd and spread his arms wide. "Who wants to prank some invaders?" The crowd cheered. Commander Grell retreated another step, nearly tripping over his own landing ramp. Inside the mothership orbiting above Earth, the Situation Room was in chaos. Tactical Officer Bryn stared at the viewscreen showing the scene below. "Sir," Bryn said carefully, "the landing party is surrounded by locals offering food and requesting photographs. Supreme Commander Kellix, leader of the Vren Empire's third invasion fleet, gripped the armrest of his command chair. His species had conquered 26 star systems in the past century. They had toppled governments, crushed resistance, and brought order to the chaos of a dozen alien civilizations. They had never been offered tacos. Status of ground forces, Kellex demanded. Uncertain, sir. One of our soldiers is attempting to consume something called a charro. Another is being taught a dance called the floss by a juvenile human. Kellex watched the screen. Commander Grell was visibly retreating now, his weapon lowered, surrounded by smiling humans who seemed utterly unbothered by the presence of an invasion force. Deploy the interrogation probe, Kellex ordered. A small spherical drone descended from the ship, hovering down to street level with menacing precision. Its sensors glowed red as it focused on Tyler. You will answer questions, the probe announced in a mechanical voice. Identify the dominant life form of this planet. Tyler looked at the probe, then glanced toward the parking lot where his cat, an orange tabby named Gary, sat on the hood of his car, methodically licking one paw. That would be Gary, Tyler said, pointing. The probe swiveled, scanning the cat. Its lights flickered through several colors. Warning, energy signature unpredictable, threat assessment impossible. Classification, Alpha Predator. Recommend immediate withdrawal. Commander Grell, watching through his helmet feed, felt something inside him break. The probe thinks a small, furry creature is their leader, Grell said into his communicator. Back on the mothership, Kellex closed his eyes. What kind of species are these humans? By noon, the invasion had transformed into a block party. Someone had set up speakers. Music poured into the street. A conga line formed, and somehow 3 of the Vren soldiers got pulled into it. One alien warrior was attempting to understand why humans willingly stood in a potato sack and hopped toward a finish line. Another had tears streaming down his face after watching a video compilation of cats falling off furniture. Tyler had set up a booth labeled Alien Welcome Center with a handwritten sign underneath that said, "First taco free, second taco costs your dignity." Commander Grell approached slowly, his weapon holstered. We came to conquer, Grell said quietly. Why are you not afraid? Tyler handed him a paper plate with 2 tacos. Fear's exhausting, man. This seemed more fun. Plus, Frank's tacos are amazing. You're gonna love them. Grell looked at the tacos. He looked at his troops, who were laughing, dancing, and experiencing something they had no protocol for. Tell your commanders, Tyler said, taking a bite of his own taco, if they want Earth, they better bring better snacks than whatever you've got up there. Grell was quiet for a long moment. Then he pressed a button on his wrist communicator. Commander Grell to Mothership. Mission status, terminated. Requesting immediate extraction. Denied, Kellex's voice crackled through. Explain failure. They weaponized hospitality, Grell said. There is no defense against it. The Vren soldiers boarded their ship slowly, carrying foam fingers, stuffed animals won at carnival games, and in one case, an entire box of assorted donuts. One soldier turned back to Tyler. What is this thing you call friendship? The soldier asked. Tyler grinned. Stick around long enough and you'll find out. The ships lifted off, leaving scorch marks on the asphalt, and a town full of humans who immediately started posting pictures online with hashtags like Alien Invasion and Tarkus Not War. 3 days later, a sleek black vessel appeared in Earth's orbit. This one was different. No weapons visible. No aggressive posturing. Just a single occupant who transmitted a request to land. Tyler was back at work, mopping the school hallway, when his phone buzzed with a message from the mayor. They're back. Need you at town hall. The new ship landed in the football field with mechanical precision. The ramp extended, and out stepped a being that looked like someone had designed a bureaucrat in space. Tall, thin, covered in what appeared to be grey fabric that resembled a suit. He carried a glowing tablet and wore an expression of intense disapproval. I am Inspector Zorth, the being announced. I am here to investigate Earth's violation of Galactic Conquest Protocol 17B, excessive use of humor against military personnel. Tyler, who had grabbed his megaphone out of habit, lowered it slowly. There's a law against being funny. Galactic Treaty, subsection 12, Zorth said, consulting his tablet. Prohibits the use of hospitality to distract invading forces. You must submit to a full compliance audit. An audit, Tyler repeated. Of what, exactly? Your defensive capabilities. Specifically, your emotional warfare techniques. Tyler looked at the crowd gathering around them. Mayor Jenkins was there, along with Frank from the taco truck, Mrs. Henderson, and what looked like half the high school football team. "All right," Tyler said, "but I gotta warn you, Inspector, our best defense is just being ourselves." The audit began that afternoon. Tyler took Inspector Zorth on what he called the Millbrook Danger Tour. First stop, Randy's Wings and Things, home of the Blazing Inferno Challenge. Tyler ordered the hottest wings on the menu and offered one to Zorth. The inspector ate it methodically, his grey face turning progressively darker shades until smoke literally started coming out of his audio receptors. "This is considered recreational?" Zorth asked, his voice crackling. "Yeah, people do this for fun." Zorth made a note on his tablet. Possible chemical warfare. Second stop, the Comedy Cellar, where open mic night was in full swing. Tyler signed Zorth up for a 5-minute set. The inspector took the stage and began reading from the Galactic Legal Code, explaining the 17 subsections of proper invasion etiquette. Someone threw a balled-up napkin at him. Boos came from all around. Zorth left the stage looking shell-shocked. "They rejected my presentation." "Comedy's subjective, man," Tyler said, patting his shoulder. Third stop, Melody's karaoke bar. Tyler forced the inspector to sing "Don't Stop Believin'" by Journey. Zorth's voice was monotone and roughly 3 octaves off-key. People covered their ears. Someone yelled for it to stop. The bartender offered free drinks to anyone who had survived the performance. It was marked down as audio psychological warfare. The next day, Tyler took Zorth to a daycare center. Inspector Zorth stood in a room full of 5-year-olds who immediately swarmed him. "Why are we here?" Zorth asked nervously. "Because these are our future leaders," Tyler said. "You need to assess the threat level." A little girl named Emma walked up and handed Zorth a crayon. "You can color with us, Mr. Robot." Zorth held the crayon like it was a weapon. "What is the purpose of this activity?" "It's fun," Emma said simply, then returned to her drawing of what appeared to be a purple dragon eating a spaceship. Zorth scanned the drawing. "Is this a strategic attack plan?" "That's just creativity," Tyler said. "Terrifying, isn't it?" By the time story hour ended, Inspector Zorth had been wrapped in glitter tape, given a sticker that said "Super Helper," and forced to sing the alphabet song while a toddler named Marcus sat on his shoulders, pretending to be a spaceship captain. That night, Zorth sat in his ship, attempting to file his report. His fingers trembled over the tablet. "Classification, Earth," he began. "Defensive capabilities, unpredictable. Primary weapons, hospitality, humor, emotional manipulation, and children who offer art supplies. Tactical assessment. This species does not engage in traditional warfare. They combat aggression with joy. They respond to threats by offering food. They are dangerously, incomprehensibly illogical." He paused, staring at a crayon drawing of a robot holding hands with stick-figure children that had somehow ended up taped to his console. "Recommendation: the galaxy should maintain maximum distance for its own safety." Zorth transmitted the report and powered down his ship. In the morning, he found Tyler waiting outside with coffee and a breakfast burrito. "You leaving?" Tyler asked. Zorth nodded. "Earth has been classified as a non-viable conquest target." "Good. You want this burrito for the road." Zorth accepted it silently. As his ship lifted off, Tyler waved. 1 week later, Millbrook was back to normal. Mostly. The football field still had scorch marks. The mayor's office had started a small alien tourism fund, just in case. And Tyler had been interviewed by 17 different news stations, all asking the same question. How did he stop an invasion? "I didn't stop anything," Tyler said in every interview. "I just offered tacos and treated them like people. Turns out that works pretty well." He was sitting in Frank's taco truck, eating lunch, when the television screens all over town suddenly flickered and switched to the same image. An alien face appeared. This one was different from the Vren. Green skin, sharp teeth, yellow eyes that glowed with intensity. "I am Supreme Warlord Draxis of the Korath Empire," the alien announced. "We have observed Earth's defensive tactics. We are not impressed. We are not afraid. We are coming." Tyler raised an eyebrow and took another bite of his taco. "Your food, your games, your nonsense. Draxis continued. We will not fall for such primitive distractions. Tyler leaned closer to the screen and grinned. Then bring a helmet, buddy. We've got dodgeball tournaments every Thursday, and I play to win. The broadcast cut off abruptly. An officer spoke up hesitantly. Sir, the Vren fleet never returned. Inspector Zorth's final report classified Earth as a Class Omega psychological hazard. He now sends messages containing only images of small Earth mammals with text overlays. Cat memes, another officer clarified. Draxis was quiet for exactly 3 seconds. Then he straightened in his command throne. Prepare the fleet, he ordered, but bring translators, recreational equipment, and art supplies. If we fall to these humans, at least we will maintain our dignity. We're not going down like the Vren, Draxis said firmly. If we must experience this Earth hospitality, we will face it with honor. 2 days later, 3 Korath warships descended over Millbrook. The town square was ready. Tyler had hung a banner that read, Invasion Week, Dodgeball Tournament and Barbecue Night. Underneath, someone had spray-painted, Come for the conquest, stay for the tacos. The Korath ships landed in formation. The ramps descended. Warlord Draxis emerged, flanked by his elite guard, all carrying weapons that hummed with barely contained energy. Tyler stood in the center of the square, megaphone in hand, wearing a t-shirt that said Earth's unofficial ambassador. Welcome to Millbrook, Tyler called out. You boys here for war or dodgeball? Draxis opened his mouth to deliver his conquest speech, but Tyler interrupted. Because if it's war, we have a strict no battles before breakfast policy. Frank's setting up the grill right now. You like burgers? The Korath warriors looked at each other. Draxis lowered his weapon slightly. We did not come here for food, Draxis said, but his voice lacked conviction. Everybody says that, Tyler replied. Then they try Frank's secret sauce and change their tune. Come on, there's no time limit on conquering. You can do it after lunch. Within an hour, the Korath warriors were seated at picnic tables, awkwardly holding hamburgers and corn on the cob. Draxis sat across from Tyler, chewing slowly. This is good, Draxis admitted reluctantly. Told you, Tyler said. So, you want to talk about this whole invasion thing? Because I'm thinking maybe we could work something out. Before Draxis could respond, a teenager ran up and handed one of the Korath warriors a water balloon. You're gonna need this, the kid said. Tournament starts in 20 minutes. What followed was the most ridiculous sporting event in galactic history. Humans versus aliens. Dodgeball, water balloon toss, 3-legged race, and a relay that involved carrying eggs on spoons. Nobody kept score. Nobody cared who won. By the end, everyone was soaking wet, covered in grass stains, and laughing so hard they could barely breathe. Draxis sat next to Tyler on a bench, watching the sunset. We came to conquer, Draxis said quietly. I thought Earth would be weak. We're not weak, Tyler said. We're just weird. There's a difference. You confuse every tactical protocol we possess. Yeah, we get that a lot. Draxis smiled, an expression that probably looked terrifying to anyone who didn't know him but was genuine. I came to subjugate your world. Now I just want to understand it. Tyler handed him a cold soda. That's called curiosity. It's way better than conquest. That night, Draxis contacted the Korath High Council. Supreme Warlord Draxis reporting, the invasion has failed. Explain, the council demanded. We were outmatched, Draxis said. Not by weapons, but by something far more powerful. They call it friendship. You have been compromised. Return immediately. Draxis looked back at the humans, still celebrating in the park, and made a decision that surprised even himself. Negative. I am requesting asylum on Earth. I have been offered a position as assistant coach for youth soccer. He ended the transmission before anyone could respond. Tyler found him standing alone near the empty field. So, Tyler said, you staying? If you will have me, Draxis replied. Tyler extended his hand. Welcome to Earth, coach. They shook hands, and somewhere in the night sky, the remaining Korath ships quietly departed, leaving behind a warlord who had discovered something more valuable than conquest. The news spread across the galaxy faster than light speed. Earth, a small blue planet in an unremarkable solar system, had defeated two separate invasion attempts without firing a single shot. They had used humor, hospitality, and an inexplicable love of games. The Galactic Council convened in emergency session. Representatives from hundreds of worlds gathered to debate what to do about the human problem. They are spreading chaos, one ambassador argued. The Vren commander now runs a food establishment serving Earth cuisine. Inspector Zorth volunteers at youth recreation centers. Warlord Draxis teaches miniature humans to kick spherical objects into nets. They have corrupted our finest warriors with kindness, another added. The Supreme Chancellor, an ancient being whose species had observed the galaxy for millennia, finally spoke. Perhaps, the Chancellor said slowly, we have been approaching this incorrectly. The chamber fell silent. We cannot conquer Earth. We cannot contain them. We cannot understand them. The Chancellor paused. Therefore, we must invite them to join the galactic community. Protests erupted immediately, but the Chancellor raised one appendage for silence. If we make them our allies, perhaps we can learn from them rather than fear them. The vote was close, but the resolution passed. Earth would be offered membership in the Galactic Council. Tyler was at home, feeding Gary, when his phone rang. It was the President of the United States. Mr. Brooks, we need you in Washington. Immediately. 3 days later, Tyler stood in the White House Situation Room, surrounded by generals, diplomats, and people with titles he didn't understand. A holographic display showed the Galactic Council's invitation. They want Earth to join their organization, the Secretary of State explained. You would be our ambassador. Tyler looked around the room. Why me? I'm a janitor. The president smiled. You stopped 2 invasions with tacos and dodgeball. If that doesn't qualify someone for diplomacy, I don't know what does. Do I have to wear a suit? Preferably. Can I bring Frank's taco truck? The president considered this. I don't see why not. 1 month later, the Galactic Council chambers opened to welcome Earth's first delegation. Tyler walked in wearing his one good suit and carrying a cooler full of sandwiches. Behind him came Frank, Draxis, and a delegation of humans who represented Earth. Scientists, artists, teachers, and Frank's taco truck, which had been given special clearance. The council chamber was enormous, filled with beings from across the stars. Some were crystalline, some were gaseous, some looked vaguely humanoid. All of them stared at Tyler. The Supreme Chancellor spoke. Earth, we welcome you to the galactic community. Tyler stepped forward. Thanks, we brought snacks. He opened the cooler and started passing out sandwiches. Within minutes, the formal ceremony had devolved into an impromptu picnic. Ambassadors who had been enemies for centuries sat next to each other, arguing over whether turkey or ham was better. The Supreme Chancellor watched in amazement. They are doing it again, one ambassador whispered. They are spreading chaos. No, the Chancellor said softly, they are spreading something else entirely. Over the next weeks, Earth's influence on the Galactic Council became apparent. Meetings that once took days now included mandatory snack breaks. Diplomatic disputes were occasionally resolved through game nights. Someone introduced karaoke, and nobody could quite figure out how to stop it. Tyler sat on the observation deck of the council station, looking out at the stars. Draxis joined him, carrying 2 coffees. This is not how I imagined first contact would go, Draxis said. Yeah, I thought there would be more explosions. Tyler laughed. Sorry to disappoint. You did not disappoint, Draxis said seriously. You showed us something we had forgotten. That strength does not require violence. That peace is not weakness. That sometimes the bravest thing you can do is offer someone a taco and see what happens. Tyler raised his coffee cup. To tacos. Draxis clinked his cup against Tyler's. 6 months after first contact, Earth had become the most popular destination in the galaxy. Aliens came for the food, stayed for the culture, and left with friendships they never expected. The invasion attempts stopped entirely. Not because Earth had become militarily powerful, but because everyone was too busy playing volleyball and trying to understand why humans found cat videos so entertaining. Tyler returned to Millbrook as often as he could. The town had changed. Alien tourists wandered Main Street. Frank's taco truck had expanded into a full restaurant with a staff that included 2 Vren, 1 Korath, and a being made entirely of energy who was surprisingly good at making salsa. The football field where it all started now had a monument, a simple plaque that read, "Here, on this spot, humanity proved that kindness is the strongest weapon, and that sometimes the best way to stop an invasion is to offer someone lunch." Tyler stood in front of the plaque one evening, Gary sitting beside him, watching the sun set over Millbrook. "You know what's funny?" Tyler said to his cat. "All those aliens came here expecting to find weakness. Instead, they found exactly what makes us human. We're ridiculous, we're confusing, and we refuse to take anything too seriously. And somehow that saved the world." Gary meowed, which Tyler took as agreement. In the sky above, ships from 100 worlds passed peacefully through Earth's orbit, not as invaders, not as conquerors, but as friends, coming to visit the strange little planet that had taught the galaxy how to laugh. And in Millbrook, Tyler Brooks, former janitor and current galactic ambassador, went home to do laundry, feed his cat, and get ready for tomorrow's dodgeball tournament, where 3 alien species had signed up to compete. Because that's what humans do. They turn invasions into parties, enemies into friends, and the entire galaxy into one big, chaotic, beautiful community. One taco at a time.